Former Judge Craig Key says it's time to set the record straight on the Kelsey Smith-Briggs case. He says he's turning the table, letting you be the judge and decide what really happened leading up to Kelsey's death and who is responsible. With a poster-sized picture of his new book, A Deadly Game of Tug of War, the Kelsey Smith-Briggs story behind him, former Judge Craig Key says he's revealing the truth since he's the one who knows it best.
I've done everything that I can do to provide an actual factual account of what happened. And my goal is, if the records and transcripts are ever released, this book will stand the test of time.
Key says critical evidence shown to the public was never presented in his courtroom.
The pictures of Kelsey with broken legs, I never saw them. They were never shown. The pictures of Kelsey sitting in a swing with bruises on her face, that's a picture from August 29th. That picture was never shown to me in the courtroom.
Key says when he made the decision to return Kelsey to her mother, no one said a word.
All they had to do was stand up and object. And that child would not have been returned until another judge reviewed the records. No one did that.
In the book's foreword, well-known attorney Irvin Bach says no one cared enough about Kelsey. Bach says he followed the case and the whole system failed her.
I believe that's exactly what the end results were. I don't think there was enough I don't believe there was enough concern. There was more concern about individuals and personalities than they were about this poor young child.
That's a lie. I mean, we did everything with the exception of running off with her. And I mean, we were trying to follow the law. We believed in the system. We believed in DHS. We believed in the judge.
Key says every day in his mind, he sees Kelsey as a beautiful blue-eyed, blonde-haired girl jumping around the day he saw her at the courthouse. We asked him who he thinks stopped Kelsey from ever jumping again.
It'd be improper for me to answer that question, and I don't know. There's only two people that know that. One's in heaven and one's probably guilt-ridden. And I don't know who they are.
Jury selection is underway in the trial of Raye Smith. She's accused of abusing her daughter, Kelsey Smith-Briggs, who died nearly 2 years ago. Our Amy Lester is following today's proceedings and joins us with the latest. Amy?
We have already seen some emotion inside of that courtroom today while attorneys were asking jurors about Kelsey Smith and using the word abuse. Raye Dawn, her mother, was brought to tears. She was fighting back those tears, sitting there and watching. Now, right now in this courtroom, a packed courtroom, I may add, there is some questioning going on. The defense attorneys right now are questioning potential jurors to see if they are fit for this jury. That happened earlier today by the prosecutors. They questioned jurors for about 2 hours. The goal today, of course, to pick a jury of 12 who is best suited to decide if Raye Dawn Smith abused Kelsey or if she allowed abuse to happen. That's her decision. There are two charges in this case. Whether she abused Kelsey, is she guilty or not guilty of child abuse, and is she guilty or not guilty of enabling child abuse? The jury can decide one or the other. Her family and Kelsey's father and his family, they're all listening in the courtroom. Now, back here live, I'll give you an idea of what some of the jurors are being asked, what some of the jurors are saying. We know that 8 of the potential 22 jurors that are being questioned right now, they have all heard about this case in the media. 8 out of the 22. That's about a third of them that have heard about it. They've also been asked their opinion about DHS, their opinion about the medical profession, their opinion about law enforcement. Now, the questioning will continue. We don't know how long this will take to find the jurors. The judge has said they will work at least through the noon hour and possibly break for lunch.
The trial of a local mother facing child abuse charges is moving quickly so far. Jury selection began this morning in the case of Raye Dawn Smith. Her daughter was Kelsey Smith-Briggs. Kelsey was 2 years old when she died from a blow to her stomach in October of 2005. After a series of hearings in Lincoln County, the case was moved to Creek County for trial. Eyewitness News 5's Mark Opgren is live now from Bristow. Mark, what's the latest?
The latest here, Jessica, is they just wrapped up opening statements with the defense going last, and so the trial is done for the day. They will come back tomorrow morning. Now, it began with the prosecution telling the jury that their job is to decide what happened on October 11, 2005, the day Kelsey died. Earlier this morning, though, family members of the accused, Raye Dawn Smith, Kelsey Smith and her father, Lance Briggs, filed into the courtroom in Bristow. Now, after questioning potential jurors for several hours, they settled with a 12-member jury and 2 alternatives. Now, here is what we know about the jury right now. They're seated as 7 women, 5 men. Now, out of that group, 3 had actually said that they had heard or seen reports of the trial on TV or the radio. Now, what the jury will decide is between 2 charges, child abuse and enabling child abuse. Their job is to determine if Raydon is guilty or innocent on either one of those charges. As we said, the defense just wrapped up their opening statement.
A year and a half ago, someone murdered Kelsey Smith-Briggs. Today, the trial begins for Kelsey's mother, Raydon Smith. But once this is over, will we know who murdered Kelsey? Well, the 12 people who will decide Raydon Smith's fate have been chosen.
Fox 25's Britton Fallett was in court all day. She tells us what the jurors heard.
A jury of 5 men and 7 women will decide whether Raydon Smith either abused her 2-year-old or allowed someone else to. Before the jury went home for the night, this is what lawyers told them. Lawyers spoke because Kelsey is not here to.
My daughter's gone. That's why we're here today.
District Attorney Richard Smotherman started by telling jurors the end of the story. That on October 11th, 2005, someone beat Kelsey to death. She died when her pancreas burst. Only 2 people were around between 1:30 and 3:30 that day, Raydon and Michael Porter. One of them killed her. Smotherman told jurors it is their job to decide who. Prosecutors told jurors they would see pictures of bruise after bruise, injury after injury. For 10 months before the state says either Michael Porter or Raydon beat her to death. Jurors learned Michael Porter will spend the next 30 years in prison because he admitted he did not protect Kelsey from abuse. Smotherman says Porter will testify he witnessed Raydon abuse Kelsey on numerous times and did nothing to stop it. Raydon's lawyer argued Kelsey was a victim of a custody battle, while Michael Porter, the only person ever charged with her murder, stood in the shadows. For 10 months, caseworkers, police, doctors, even the district attorney's office watched Kelsey's case. Her attorney says if Raydon should have known Kelsey was being abused, everyone else should have too.
I'm glad the trial's finally started. It's been a long time coming. And now it's up to the jurors to hear the evidence and make their decision, and I'm confident they're going to make the right one.
2 stories of a 2-year-old's life who died too soon. The judge moved the case from Lincoln County to Bristow in hopes of getting a fair trial. It took 30 potential jurors for lawyers to decide on the 12 members of the jury and 2 alternates. More than 10 people told the judge they had seen Kelsey's story on the news. Only one of them said they knew so much about the case they could not give Raydon a fair trial.
Kelsey, you'll remember, died nearly 2 years ago. Amy Lester has been at the courthouse all day, and Amy, it was an eventful day. Oh, definitely. Today we heard from Michael Porter. You'll remember that he is Raydon's ex-husband who's currently serving a 30-year sentence in prison for enabling child abuse against Kelsey. And we also heard a motion from Raydon herself. Raydon Smith entered the courthouse silently, but inside it was a different story. While Dr. Yacoub from the ME's office talked about Kelsey's autopsy, she described picture after picture of bruises all over her dead body and the internal injuries Kelsey suffered from several impacts. During this time, Raydon cried, at one point so hard the judge stopped the trial for 20 minutes. Kelsey's biological father, Lance Briggs, chose not to stay in the courtroom during this time. The spokesman for his family, Kelsey's step-grandfather, says,
well, none of us can look at those pictures. That's just something that's very difficult to do, you know, to see what all that was done to this little baby.
Later, the man many want to hear from took the stand, Michael Porter. In handcuffs and orange jail clothes, he said he witnessed Raydon abuse Kelsey 3 times. He says he saw Raydon hit Kelsey on the stomach with a closed fist. She swatted her, in his words, an excessive 15 times, and said she's responsible for Kelsey's death. The Briggs family's reaction?
I think he was telling the truth. You know, he has nothing You know, he was not going to get anything out of any of this. You know, he come on it all on his own.
Raye Dawn's lawyer asked Porter why he told the court in the past the opposite, writing in a letter to the court during custody issues, quote, "I can say with a crystal clear conscience that Raye Dawn is the antithesis of an unfit mother," end quote. When challenged about this, Porter said, quote, "I said a lot of things to cover up for her," end quote. As jurors and the families sort through all of this, the reality is someone killed Kelsey.
I don't see how a person could do that. I don't know what could go through their mind, what could possess them to do that to an innocent little child.